Now, I think we'll start. We've a good number of people have joined already. So, in fairness to people who've turned up on time, we'll go ahead and people can join us later. So, I want to welcome everybody to the webinar, Leading with Impact, Becoming an Influential HR Leader in Your Company. So, first of all, my name is John Raftery and I'm with Leap. Many of you probably know Leap already. You would have worked with us, but we're a business consultancy training and development company based in Galway, but we work throughout the country. We've been over 25 years in business at this stage, so we've touched on quite a few companies over that time, and I'm very rarely ever surprised by any problems that we encounter in that we come across because we're so long in the game, basically. So our focus really is business consultancy, as I said, but leadership development, management training is our main area. And as I said, we've reached out to a number of HR leaders across the country, and we've worked with probably some of you that are on the webinar this afternoon. So it's a timely occasion to be talking about the challenges of HR because it's a very challenging time. We have the post-COVID landscape, which has led to, the hybrid working. We have full employment at the moment, thankfully, but it leads to challenges around recruitment and retention. And of course, you have the demographic changes as well. So you've got younger people coming into the workforce with maybe different expectations than ourselves. And you also have the changing landscape of technology, particularly artificial intelligence, which leads us to a very uncertain future. So it's very important that we address the topic of HR leadership now because it's become much more pertinent. So I want to introduce, sorry, I want to introduce, excuse me, Orla King. Orla King has got over 30 years, you wouldn't believe it by looking at her, over 30 years experience in HR leadership. She's worked with a lot of public service, private companies. I think one of her most recent positions was with TG Carr. We also have Anya Doherty from, she's got a lovely job title called the Head of People and Culture at MKO. And we also have Rory Gooking with us who set up GHR Consulting in 2019, providing training and recruitment in the SME sector. And his company provides a range of HR solutions, both in person and remotely. Okay, so Orla will present now. She's got a short presentation, about 10 or 15 minutes. And then after that, then we will open up a panel discussion. So what I want people to do is have a look at the bottom of your screen there. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see Q&A section there. And if you open that up, you'll be able to put in some questions there, right? So hopefully you'll have lots of questions for Orla and the panel at the end of the presentation, and we can have a fruitful discussion. So I think with that then, I'm going to hand over to Orla to present her presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, John, and welcome everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, Leading with Impact, Becoming an Influential HR Leader in Your Company. As John said, my name is Orla King, and I have been fortunate to spend 30 years in various management and HR leadership roles in both the independent and public sector. So I'm quite well aware of the challenges we all face. Today, we'll be talking about a topic that's very important for anyone in HR who aspires to make a real impact within their organizations. My aim is to show you how the support of the HR Leaders Forum can empower HR professionals to drive organizational success. Strategic HR leadership is critical in aligning human resources with organizational goals and ensuring success in a competitive landscape. This presentation focuses on practical strategies for HR leaders to enhance their impact effectively. We've all heard the theories on what makes a strategic HR leader, but I'm here today to take you beyond the theory and look under the hood at what actually works. We'll discuss practical, actionable ways to turn strategy into results, and we'll explore why the HR Forum is essential to driving this success. By the end of this talk, you'll know not just what you need to do, but how to actually make it happen in your organizations. The objectives of this presentation are to provide insights into key areas of strategic HR leadership and to equip HR professionals with actionable strategies. As strategic HR leaders, one of our key responsibilities is to align human resources with the overarching business strategy. This means understanding organizational goals and translating them into actionable plans within our teams. It's about creating a clear line of sight between local actions and strategic objectives. To succeed, we must also build a people-centric culture that not only adapts to change but thrives in it. This involves embedding practices that drive collaboration, innovation, and a shared sense of purpose among employees. Making culture change happen is never easy, and I'm well aware of that. But with the right approach and commitment, it becomes a powerful enabler of business success. By focusing on these areas, strategy alignment and cultural transformation, we position HR as true drivers of organizational success, ensuring we meet today's challenges and are prepared for tomorrow's opportunities. We often hear that HR must align with business strategy. But how can a HR leader ensure this alignment is more than just a statement? Here's how. Start by scheduling regular cross-functional meetings with your department heads. These meetings should be a recurring part of your routine, not just a one-time effort. Regular collaboration ensures that HR initiatives remain in sync with the business goals. However, understanding the strategy isn't enough. You must actively nurture it and take deliberate actions daily. Strategic HR is about empowering managers to align local objectives and individual actions with the organization's overall goals. This involves defining clear roles, cultivating a strong sense of purpose, and helping employees see their contributions as meaningful and part of something larger. HR's role extends beyond providing clarity. It's also about enabling employees to perform effectively by investing in training and development. This is where the HR Forum becomes essential. By fostering collaboration between HR leaders and senior management, the forum creates a dedicated platform for discussing alignment, ensuring HR initiatives contribute to the business objectives and driving continuous improvement. These efforts span several critical areas, including organizational design, change management, workplace culture, training and development, performance management, talent acquisition, and leadership development. Through these initiatives, HR not only aligns itself with strategic goals, but it also creates a work environment where employees are empowered to excel, driving success for both individuals and the organization as a whole. We know a people-centric culture is important, but how do we actually build it? To bring this vision to life, you need to focus on implementing comprehensive employee onboarding and engagement programs. Manage the entire employee life cycle, foster inclusivity through targeted initiatives, and promoting health and well-being with dedicated programs, and establishing regular feedback mechanisms to drive continuous improvement. Leveraging tools like pulse surveys to gather real-time insight into employee sentiment. However, collecting data is only the first step. Take meaningful action on the feedback to implement impactful initiatives that drive positive change. The HR Forum is where you can collaborate with other leaders, share best practices, and drive collective accountability for making culture change happen. It's not just a HR initiative, it becomes a company-wide effort. For example, create internal DEI, sustainability, and health and well-being committees where representatives across teams and divisions are part of making change and initiative happen. Maximize probation opportunity to ensure a good fit for the individual for the role, and not just skills and knowledge, but also a good fit personality and behaviour-wise. Talent management is one of the most strategic aspects of HR, but it can often feel overwhelming. So how do we actually execute it? Start with a detailed talent pipeline that covers recruitment, development, and succession planning. Break it down into manageable steps that align with the team's goals. The HR Forum provides a platform for regular reviews of talent KPIs, enabling leaders to make informed decisions on recruitment and development strategies. It's a collective effort to ensure your talent management plan is always on track. Leveraging proven solutions. It is difficult to be a prophet in our own land. Introducing new company-wide HR approaches is daunting and fraught with the potential for failure. However, if you bring in an approach, disciplined practice that is proven elsewhere, the opportunity for it to be adapted is far greater, as is the potential for successful deployment. This is where the HR Leaders Forum is invaluable. The sharing of models, frameworks, ideas, and genuine, honest feedback to what worked, what didn't, and how to do it best. Technology and data can be game changers in HR, but only if we use them properly. In the HR Forum, you'll discuss new technologies, share insights, and ensure that everyone is moving forward together. The forum is a critical resource for understanding the latest HR tech trends and figuring out how to apply them effectively. Leading through the deployment of best practices. So why reinvent the wheel? The deployment of proven best practices, which have previously smoothed out the bumps in the road, is a significant win-win for HR and, more importantly, for the senior management team and the organisation. It would be a shame to pass up this opportunity. Emotional intelligence is something we often talk about, but how do we actually lead with it? The key is in the day-to-day. Build trust by being approachable. Resolve conflict quickly and make sure you're giving real-time, meaningful feedback to your team. In the HR Forum, you can share your leadership challenges, get feedback, and refine your EQ skills. It's a place where you are surrounded by like-minded professionals facing the exact same challenges you are. A safe place to grow, and not just as a HR professional, but as a leader. Continuous learning goes beyond traditional training programs. It's about fostering a culture where curiosity is encouraged, feedback is valued, and employees are empowered to seek growth opportunities proactively. This approach not only helps individuals reach their potential, but it also ensures the organization is agile enough to meet evolving challenges. So how do we make continuous learning a reality in our organization? Start by offering e-learning platforms that allow employees to learn anytime, anywhere at their convenience. Establish mentorship programs, both internally and externally, to foster growth and collaboration. Introduce buddy systems to support new employees and those transitioning into new roles, setting them up for success. Design engaging onboarding programs that equip new hires with the tools and knowledge they need to thrive. Provide ongoing coaching opportunities to create a culture where employees feel motivated and empowered to develop new skills. The HR Forum can be a valuable resource here too. It's a place where HR leaders can come together to discuss learning strategies, share resources, and build a learning culture within. In today's ever-changing business landscape, one thing is clear. The organizations that thrive are those that embrace continuous learning and adaptability. As HR leaders, we are uniquely positioned to champion this mindset across our teams and the broader organization. So to wrap up, we've discussed how to turn theory into action. HR leadership is not just about understanding the strategy, it's about execution. I've shown you how the HR Forum plays a vital role in numerous ways in making these things happen. Firstly, by driving strategic HR leadership through the sharing of successful frameworks, models, proven talent review, and succession planning methodologies implemented across multiple companies. Secondly, by enhancing strategic insight by aligning HR initiatives seamlessly with business goals to ensure organizational success. Collaborative learning through the exchange of ideas and refined strategies in a dynamic, peer-driven environment. Leadership development by cultivating adaptability and leadership skills to excel in an evolving business landscape. And finally, networking opportunities by forging valuable connections for mutual growth and ongoing professional development. I encourage you to engage with the forum. Join the conversation and make these practices part of your daily leadership journey. I encourage you to reflect on your own leadership approach and think about how you can use these tools to create real lasting change in your organization. Now, I've done a lot of talking, so we'd love to hear from you. What challenges you're facing as a HR leader? What's working for you already that you might actually want to share in this webinar? And also how you might implement some of these ideas. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for your time. I know we're eating into your lunch break. And I also look forward to continuing this conversation and working together to shape the future of HR leadership. Over to you, John.
Okay, thank you, Orla. Very good, very good. I just check. We have a few questions that have come through. There's one here from Deirdre, and these questions are open to the panel, the three of you, so feel free to jump in. How can HR leaders foster a culture of continuous learning in an organization resistant to change? I think resistant to change is probably the salient point there.
Well, I'll have a small go at answering that. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for your time. I probably had a lot of experience with this myself when I moved back to Galway. I worked out in East Galway, and yeah, there was definitely a lot of resistance to change. Even I think the specific example I have is just the introduction of a HR system to move away from the filing cabinet system, where there was bits of paper going back 20 or 30 years, and try to get people to embrace the new technology. A lot of it is to do with training and showing them. A lot of it is the fear of change, and it's actually saying this is actually a very easy system to use, and providing the support around it. And in that particular example, I kind of sat with every employee for 30 minutes to make sure they were comfortable using it. And again, it's how do you make sure everybody uses it? It's like, well, if you want to book your annual leave, you need to use the system. So that was usually a good way to get people on board, or you need to input your hours into it to make sure you're paid correctly. So there are different carrots companies can use to get people, to embrace change like that. But again, I'd usually recommend people start maybe with small projects. I think the mistakes a lot of people make is maybe they try to implement drastic changes all at once. And certainly in my experience, I found start off with something small, make sure it works correctly, get people to trust you, and then you can start moving on to maybe the bigger stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Rory. Anybody else there want to come in on that, or?
Yeah, I can add to Rory's answer there. I think you have to start at the top as well. You need to get buy-in from the senior management team. And to get buy-in, I think you need to actually show the value of the change that you're trying to implement. So if it's trying to foster a culture of growth mindset and training and development, if you can show senior management the value or the changes or the connected to future or even connected to some of their objectives in the strategy, you'll get buy-in. And if the top are walking the talk, the bottom will follow.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I'll also come in there. Thanks, John. Good afternoon, everyone. Just to follow on from what the panelists have said there, one thing we've tried to really implement here is that culture of continuous learning here at MKO. And, it absolutely doesn't have to be a huge investment. We have a huge amount of skill set within our current workforce. So one really simple, nice idea that we have here that's worked well for us for years is a weekly knowledge share, where someone internally, we have a weekly slot, 11 a.m. on a Thursday, and someone internally will share 20 minutes of a talk, no more than Orla's great presentation today, on their area of expertise. And we all learn something new, may not be extremely relevant to everyone's job, but we're all building our knowledge of what goes on in the business, what the challenges are for different teams and roles within the company. And it's a really cost-effective way to implement some kind of learning culture, and show commitment, like you say, Orla, from the top down, that we're committing this half-hour slot every week to do this knowledge sharing internally as well.
Okay, very good. Very good. There's another question here from Ruth, but it may be somewhat similar. It says, how can HR leaders effectively influence senior management to support HR initiatives? Would like to take up that one. Anya?
Yeah, I can jump in here. I suppose, speaking very much to what Orla has presented today, all really, really important about, understanding the business is absolutely critical. And closely linked to that is building those strong relationships with the key leaders. So, those monthly one-to-ones, understanding what challenges they're facing, not just from a people perspective, but from, their technical aspect, because often it will always drive back to the people in their team and their outputs as well. So building that strong relationship, I'm very fortunate here. We have a leadership team that are all fully behind the people and culture strategy. But I appreciate, that's not the same in every company. And I'd say looking for your allies and really staying close to those people. There will always be a number of people that are really supportive of the people strategy. And so really leverage off those relationships to try and, build a momentum behind the strategies you're trying to implement, to try and get further support beyond just the HR people and culture team. And I'd say another thing, I suppose, that I think supports HR initiatives is, speaking to the data, making it real for the people on the senior management team, showing the return of investment on these types of initiatives. So, speaking to your turnover rates, your absenteeism rates, your engagement rates, and how they implement back into productivity, making it speaking their language, and trying to make sure they understand the impact that your HR initiatives can truly have on the business.
Very good.
Yeah, the buy-in, just to jump in there, John, the buy-in from senior management, I've probably experienced both sides of that. In my career, I worked in Crossrail in London for about 4 years, and it was very much this was the company strategy. It was very much, training, upskilling focused, and there was a lot of movement between different departments. You see graduates come in, they'd have 6 months in one role, and even if they're excelling, they're moved into a totally different role, and they're constantly moved around over a 3 or 4 year period. But again, that was the buy-in from the senior directors. We're pushing that. I've worked in other organizations where I didn't last very long. The senior directors saying, they wouldn't use the HR system, but they're assuming that, they're trying to get their managers to use it, and they're giving out that the system won't work correctly, or why is and they couldn't see that they were totally undermining the whole process. That's just a small example, but the managers see them, and if they see their own managers aren't, using the system effectively or doing the reviews, senior directors get upset that managers won't do reviews. I said, well, have you done reviews with your own managers? And the answer is usually no. So, it's kind of monkey see, monkey do. And if people don't lead from the top or buy into it, it's guaranteed to fail.
Very good. Very good.
I think so. Just adding to that, Anya's reply there, it's if you can show them turnover costs and the cost of retention, or the cost of actually having to replace somebody, that speaks volumes to management.
Yeah, and do you know what, Orla, you've kind of touched on the next question. There's another question here from Hugh. What quantitative data can you use to persuade senior managers and business owners to the importance of having a HR strategy? And I think, Anya, you touched on that as well, but maybe just elaborate a little bit. I'll throw it over to Anya.
Yes, sorry, apologies. Absolutely. Data is king, and you can't move away from the black and white that data shows you. In a previous company prior to my time here at MKO, we would have really focused on this to try and get the buy-in from the senior management team. And to Orla's point, we really went down to the euro values. So how much did it cost simply to post an advert? How much did it cost to use a recruiter? How much did it cost the business to take the interviewers' time away from their day job? How much did it cost to train the new starter? Well, when you started to itemize all of that, averaging it out for every single leaver that left that year, I can tell you the number we landed on was pretty staggering. And to be able to put that in front of the senior management team and say, do you realize that this is our true cost of turnover? And leveraging then off other data. So, slap them in the face with the shock number, and then what's our exit interview data telling us about why people are leaving? Or what is our employee survey data telling us about, what people care about here? So using data then to say, okay, we have an issue with turnover. Here are the elements that we think that the people have told us are the things we want to improve on. And from here are the HR initiatives we've tried to prioritize in order to reduce this turnover cost and to make a difference to our business on the bottom line. So bringing the data back even to that euro figure can really screen volumes and help support your HR initiatives that you believe will make a difference. And in any way that you can, of course, then follow up with your return on investment. So you're obviously hoping then the initiatives that you introduce show a decrease in your turnover rate or a decrease in your absenteeism rate. And again, putting that in front of them and showing the successes of what you've introduced will only, again, build the trust in the HR and people and culture functions.
Well, Rory, thanks, Anya. Any other ones, Rory? Or
No, I always remember the shock. I started in a company earlier in my career, and I put up some stats at the senior director board meeting, and I told them that based on my research, they'd had 140 new starters in the previous 12 months, and they'd had 120 leavers. And they were like, "Why is the turnover of staff so high?" They genuinely had no idea. So I said, "Well, I don't know. I've only after walking in the door. So we need to get to the bottom of it." So straight away, again, I didn't get as far as what Anya did there, breaking it down. But again, I'm sure it's usually a lot of these decisions are financially driven, or maybe there's an accountant at the top of at the top. And I think if you're putting those figures in front of them, people can see. I mean, I had a quick look before we started this. I think the average cost, again, I don't really know how they get the data, but the average cost of a new employee was coming at 7,240 or something like that. Again, it's considerably higher if you're using obviously external recruiters. So yeah, it's getting that data in front of the right people, and as Anya said, if you can get the retention rate down, that's the saving to the company straight away.
Yeah, very good. Anything else, Orla, you want to add to that? Thanks, Rory.
I think that the cost of training somebody up as well and the loss of productivity. So there's the recruitment and cost, but then it's the cost of getting somebody on board, somebody else's time training that person up, and the loss of the productivity in the meantime that sometimes they don't think about.
Very good.
And one thing I might just jump back in on is something I was fortunate enough when I returned from maternity leave this time last year, actually, to the week. I purposely spent the first 4 weeks going out and meeting between 30 and 40 people across the business, across all grades, teams, and roles. So, of course, our KPIs playing a really important part, but that process of doing those pulse checks face to face. Tell me about the last year. What were your successes? What were your challenges? It was an invaluable process, and I was lucky enough to be able to do it coming back from a period of leave. It made sense, but and I know it's all time, which we don't have. But even quarterly, making it your business to have a handful of one-to-ones across the business can really provide some of that really qualitative data that you may not get from a survey or those other type of data collection points. So I find that process hugely valuable, and it drove most of the strategic initiatives for 2024 within MKO.
Very good. Thank you, Anya. Just one final check. Yeah, that's the end of the questions that we've received. So thank you very much. So listen, I just want to thank Orla especially for the presentation, and Rory and Orla for the presentation, and Rory and Anya for the panel discussion and handling the questions. I want to thank everybody else for attending. We've literally eating into your lunch hour, so thanks for that. I think we've recorded the webinar as well, so it will be available for people, and we will keep in touch with people, and we'll touch base with you soon again. I don't know if it's too early to wish everybody a happy Christmas, but
never too early, John. Never too early.
The first time I've wished people happy Christmas, so we might get into the Christmas spirit now from now on. So again, thanks for your time. Thanks to Orla and the panel, and hopefully we'll be in touch again and talking to you soon again. Thanks. Bye bye.